What's up, guys? Welcome to today's short sermon. Today's short sermon is titled Salty. So we're going to be starting in Matthew 5, verses 13 through 16. You are the salt of the earth, but what good is salt if it has lost its flavor? Can you make it salty again? It will be thrown out and trampled underfoot as worthless. You are the light of the world, like a city on a hilltop that cannot be hidden. No one lights a lamp and then puts it under a basket. Instead, the lamp is placed on a stand where it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your good deeds shine out for everyone to see, so that everyone will praise your heavenly Father. So if you are familiar with The Chosen Season or watch The Chosen Season, you'll know that Matthew is with Jesus while he's writing the sermon, kind of helping him write. And Matthew shows a concern to bringing up the salt of the earth because he's worried that they'll think they mean salt the earth, referring to the salt wars. But I think that it might actually have some connection, because in the salt wars, what they would do is they would throw salt on land and then nothing would be able to grow on that land. And we should be doing the same thing as Christians. We should be looking at this sin and saying, that can't grow. It needs to stop. Right? And then another purpose of salt is to preserve food. They didn't really have refrigerators or cooling mechanisms to keep their food cooled and preserved, so they would use salt to preserve their food. So what does that mean if we're supposed to be salty? It means we're supposed to say, that can't grow, salt. This needs to be preserved, salt. Right? We should be preserving what needs preserved and ending what needs ended. And many of us pretend to be salt, but we're really more like sugar. We're too worried about, what they might think, so we try to be sweet. We try to be a little bit of sweetener rather than being sugar. We look Christian on the outside, but on the inside, we're just sugar. We get so offended at the truth when we are called to be salt. We try to be accepted in the world, not accepted into heaven. And in Mark 8, verses 15, it says, as they were crossing the lake, Jesus warned them, watch out, beware the yeast of the Pharisees and of Herod. Right? Because a little bit of yeast gets in and affects the whole. It affects the whole thing. The whole thing is affected. Right? If a little bit of sugar gets in, the whole thing is affected. The church tries to be more sweet. So stop letting sugar get into the church. The church is for deliverance, not for people pleasing. Mark 8:33 says, Jesus turned around and looked at the disciples and then reprimanded Peter. Get away from me, Satan, he said. You are seeing things from merely a human point of view, not from God's. Now, I'm not saying to go around calling people Satan, but I'm saying you should call them out on their sugar. You're trying to please people, not please Jesus. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. But we're too worried that their truth is more important than the truth. We're worried that Jesus is offensive, but that Jesus says that the world will hate you because it first hated me. Then in Galatians 1, verses 10, it says, obviously, I'm not trying to win the approval of people, but of God. If pleasing people were my goal, I would not be Christ's servant. Wow. It's not about winning the approval of people, it's winning the approval of Jesus. It's not about winning people's votes, it's about winning people's souls. Be salty.